and welcome back to Star Wars Minute. It's the daily podcast where we analyze, scrutinize, and celebrate the Star Wars movies 1 minute at a time. I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
I'm Alex Robinson from AlexRobinson.fun.
And I'm Stuart Wellington, 1/3 of the Flophouse podcast.
Well, welcome back, Stuart. Also, as we mentioned yesterday, multiple bar owner.
Multiple bar owner, yeah.
Yeah.
I get around. I've been all over the place. And thank you so much for having me back. Hopefully I'll keep up the energy from yesterday. We're past 2 hours into this movie, so we're winding down.
All the loose ends are starting to connect or untie, or we're making our way through it. You get a lot of denouement here in your week. 122. Speaking of which, it starts with Qi'ra whizzing by Han and Chewie in her new yacht building, and it ends with Pure Rainbow and the Cloud Riders coming out to greet Han and Chewie. As they return.
What are those names again?
Enfys Nest is the leader of the kind of marauder gang that turned out to be
the redheaded lady who's the leader of the
yeah. She turned out to
gang.
be the seeds of the rebellion.
Cool.
And so her name is Enfys Nest, which I forgot. We looked it up at some point, and I think it's in like Finnish or something. That means pure rainbow.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And then
Enfys Nest.
Enfys Nest.
Okay, cool.
And her gang is called the Cloud Riders. So Pure Rainbow and the Cloud Riders, because it sounds like an 80s children's cartoon.
Yeah.
Now, here's first up. Let's start with a question. We see them each looking longingly, Han and Qi'ra. Do you think they're actually looking at each other? Can they see each other? Or is it just kind of like, she can probably see him, but he doesn't know where she is in the building, right?
Yeah, she's looking at he's looking at like a block of a starship. Maybe. I mean, I get the feeling she isn't even looking at him at all. She's like looking out into the sunset.
She just took over a big criminal empire. She's looking through the books and reading all of the going through payroll.
I do like the shot of her like staring out the window though, because it has that kind of like noir lighting, like it's very heavy shadows. It's great.
And her expression is inscrutable. It's hard to tell if she's
she does kind of like a like a little almost makes me wonder if it was like, was this even a shot that was meant to be in it? Was it like, were they just filming her being like, okay, ready, and everybody ready, lighting, and like they just took one of those like before the take of her just being like opening her mouth for a second.
It's or just that like they didn't quite know what the script was going to be at this point, so they just like took we need a shot of her just kind of gazing off in the distance somewhere.
Now was this one that had a lot of had some like shakeups in the production, right?
Yeah.
This is the Phil Lord and Miller one, right?
Okay. Exactly. Taken over by Opie Cunningham.
Mm-hmm.
But do we know, was there a lot of changes to the script when there was also, we don't know anything?
We don't.
Because it very tight-lipped.
It makes me think of, like how with Rogue One, the first trailer, none of the shots in that trailer actually are in the final movie, which is wild. So yeah, I didn't know if this was another case of like massive changes to the story as production.
So far, everyone's honoring their DNR.
Everyone's drinking DNL.
Yep.
I meant DLR, obviously.
Right.
Is what I'm
rocking out.
So someday, hopefully, once I'm guessing it's like 50 years after the last person has passed away, that they'll be like, okay, now we can reveal the
right.
Yep. And in 50 years, that's going to be the most important thing on my mind.
Yep.
when we're on this planet that is being baked to a crisp by global warming. Like, but I need to know about Solo.
We'll need a distraction by then.
I'm going to watch the behind the scenes Solo documentary, and then I'll be like, oh, that was wonderful. All right, launch the buildings. And then
turn into a Force ghost. Yeah.
Yeah. I have another question now.
Yes.
I'm full of questions today.
Yeah. Cool.
So inquisitive.
Does Chewbacca have any idea what's going on? Because he left
in general or just in this specific scene?
He's just like, dude, I don't know what these people are talking about. Somebody was pointing a gun before.
Yeah.
I thought that guy was our ride home, but that building just took off. This is really weird. So he left the party inside the yacht.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were all kind of, at each other's throats. They were double crossing each other. Beckett basically took Chewie as a hostage to be like, all right, he's coming with me. He's going to carry this stuff. When he left, Dryden Voss, and Qi'ra and Han were all there, kind of still in a standoff of sorts. And then he left. He walked for, a good couple of kilometers here, and then boom, Han Solo just shows up, talks to Beckett for a couple of seconds, and then shoots him. And then all of a sudden, the building flies away, and Chewbacca has to be like, okay, wait, is she coming to get us, or what? Is Dryden Voss like? How did you get away from them? Where's Qi'ra? What's going on?
Yeah, Han never called him up, right?
Yeah. Like they didn't have time yet. So he's just kind of like, okay, he's just like playing it by ear. He's like, okay, I guess is that bad that that the building is leaving?
Was that part of the plan? Is she going to circle back around?
I mean, that belongs to the guy who wants to kill us, and they're leaving, so that's good, right? They're not going to kill us?
Is she still on it? Because she could have gotten off, like... Yeah, he wasn't watching the door the whole time.
But also, Chewie might not care. He'd just be like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, he just kind of rolls with the changes,
Yeah.
Or, to continue with the, people, he seems metaphorically to be kind of like a dog. So a dog's just kind of like, well, whatever is going on. You know what I mean? Like, the dog doesn't worry about the details of the thing. Maybe the movie should have started here. And then Chewie being like, what happened? How did it? And then Han goes, well, it's all started back in blah, 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 blah. And then, so that would have been a good way to do it.
All right.
In some ways, that might have it would have added a little bit of lightness, a little more lightness to the story, but maybe not.
Or the have Chewie there, but maybe the standoff where Han Solo confronts Beckett here. But so after he confronts him, but before he shoots him, then you could have them just go into like, oh, hey, you're gonna, after all that, well, we have been through a lot together, and then you show the whole rest of the contents of the movie. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know why I'm messing with the structure there. It works fine as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that the actor who plays Chewbacca, when he opens his mouth, do you think he's saying because I remember there's that shot in Star Wars where you see Peter Mayhew saying in that Death Star scene where he's like, that old man's mad. Right. And then Harrison Ford goes, you said it, Chewie. Boy, that'll, where did you dig up that old fossil? So do you think, does he do the same thing in this thing? Is he speaking English and saying oh, that's crazy? Or do you think he just opens his mouth and goes rah, rah, to be dubbed in later?
Right.
Any guesses?
I would like to think that he says stuff knowing it won't be in the final cut. Just that's weird, man. What are you going to do?
See if he can break everyone by saying funny things.
Yeah.
Right. Or he's quoting random lyrics and
you win some, you lose some.
Right. Is he wondering if any of it's going to make it maybe they'll I was going to say maybe they'll use that, but they would of course translate it first.
Yeah, maybe he'll be like, maybe this is the time where they're like, you know what, we're going to let Chewbacca for 1 second speak in Galactic Common or whatever the language is.
Well, I'll bring it up again. That's one of my favorite parts of the Wizard of Oz books is at the end of the it's like the 5th or 6th one, I think. They're like the adventure's over and they're all just like, and we're, there's what a wonderful land, we live in, and they're talking, at this point there's Belina the chicken, who came from Kansas with Dorothy back at some point, and then they're all like, yeah, it's so wonderful that we can all just hang out and all the animals talk, and somebody's like, wait a minute, why doesn't Toto talk? And they all look at him and he's just like, I don't want to, and that's it. That's the only thing he says. Like after several books of him having adventures, hadn't said a word. Then he just says like, yeah, don't want it. And then that's it. So I think that kind of moment with Chewbacca.
Is that literally the last line in the book?
Almost. Something like that.
Wow.
I mean, I'm simplifying it quite a bit, but it's...
okay, yeah, well, I mean, consider this to be a pitch document.
All right, there we go. We're going to pitch this not to HBO Max. But
no.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that they considered at some point, because we have Han speaking Qi'ra, Han speaking the Wookiee language, do you think they considered at some point having Chewbacca just say one or two things?
Or any Wookiee, where they have like the Wookiee ambassador show up and be like, hello, I am...
Right. Well, I think somebody
Wookiee
pointed
name.
out, we when we were talking about that at
Star
some
Wars
point,
has a dicey track record with accents, though.
Yes. Yeah, we probably shouldn't ask for that.
And then they'll make them like Norwegian or something, or like Finnish, something where it's like,
I mean, I am sure that at some point somebody's floated the idea that like Chewbacca learns like a single phrase in common.
Right.
And it'll get a big laugh when he does it, but like...
Right. But it's like Spanish 101 kind of thing. Like all he can say in basic is like, where's the library? And they're like, oh, yeah, good job, Chewie. All right. And they never have to use it. Except for the one adventure.
The one adventure that he learned it for, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think that'd be a great idea. They haven't done it yet. I'm sure somebody suggested it. Hopefully he'll show up later on, right? He didn't die at the end of Rise of Skywalker?
No. It was a fake out. We'll get to that next year, but we thought maybe he would, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody brought up, I think last time we were talking about, maybe earlier in the movie, we were talking about Han speaking Qi'ra. Somebody pointed out in one of the books or comics or something, there's a Wookiee diplomat who has a speech impediment, so he can speak basic. Like he doesn't speak Qi'ra very well, but because of his impediment, he can. Yeah. So he can understand Qi'ra because he grew up with it, but he doesn't speak it very well. But he can speak basic almost flawlessly because. Anyway.
Perfect. Yep. And he speaks it with a surprising accent that everybody cracks up when he does it, like a butler or something. I love it.
Yeah, maybe get Anthony Hopkins to do the voice.
There you go.
Cogman himself, Anthony Hopkins.
So one thing I will say, I've teased the cinematography in this movie a lot, talking about how dark it is and how they do take away all the color. What's that called again? Color grading or whatever, where they
desaturation.
Desaturated. There you go.
I feel like especially early on, right? Like I remember the first couple scenes being like, what am I looking at?
Right.
Yeah, very dark Corellia, but some beautiful shots here. He does a great job of Beach Planet with clouds and all that stuff. So,
do you think he tried to make it? He's like, come on, there's too much light. Like we gotta. Can we wait a little bit?
Let's go, guys. We're gaining the light. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, let's have the flying building go in front of one of the suns so that everything can be dark again.
Yeah. We're gonna wait. They're gonna have their conversation once the building is blocking the sun. Then they can talk. When we come back to the camp, there's a shot. Do we think this is supposed to be reminiscent of Star Wars, the motion picture, and the Masase Temple with we get in Star Wars we had the guy in the bucket, watching as the Millennium Falcon flew in, and here we get two. Are they kids or are they just small people? But they're they're up wearing little helmets and up on a precipice, watching Han and Chewie kind of come in.
I never thought of it as I never thought of it as connecting to the Masasi Temple, but I think any time that there's ever a doubt that it's connecting to the real Star Wars, then it's probably that's what they were going for.
Right. Benefit.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like one of the things at least, like that kind of like introductory, almost like establishing shot, it was such a big part of Star Wars for me. Like the Star Wars and like fantasy and sci-fi movies as a kid, like my favorite parts would be where there'd be like the kind of wide angle establishing shot before you zoom into, you know, whatever the scene's actually about. Cause like, I love those wide angles where you're like, oh, there's this whole world out there. Like there's all this stuff that could be going on. You know, a whole like sandbox for me to play in, that hasn't been completely drawn to death, is slowly being done in the, you know, but yeah, I mean, anytime I get a wide angle, I'm excited.
Yeah, and we've talked about that this movie falls into a little bit of a sweet spot with that they were past the idea of, you know, we had the prequel era where everything was inside with blue screens and green screens and all that. But they hadn't yet, and I know there's been a lot of bad mouthing and then kind of refutation of that bad mouthing for the volume, you know, the big LED screen that they act in front of nowadays, which kind of limits sometimes the scope of how vast you can have your shots. So this was
a high-tech version of rear projection where you're standing in front of a screen that literally has the background on it.
Right. And so
really? Okay.
Yeah, that's Mandalorian, a lot of Mandalorian and stuff like that. They wheel in, it's, you know, like a 20-foot tall TV basically that they can act in front of. I'm simplifying it quite a bit, but all the tech nerds are just like, no, it's not just a TV. But I'm a big fan of it.
Very good impression of tech nerds, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah. You know, I use all the tools in the toolbox. I'm not disparaging any of these, you know, methods of movie making, because we, you know, use whatever you can. But Solo and Rogue One both fell into and I think a lot, all the Disney ones fell into this kind of sweet spot where they knew they didn't want to do everything in front of green screen, and they didn't have the volume, you know, that they could kind of use that to do stuff. So they didn't have that limit that, you know, because each tool also brings a limit. The Frogurt is cursed. But so they did these kind of expansive, you know, location shooting things. And so in this movie, we kept talking about how you get these kind of Lord of the Rings style, you know, establishing shots where you're seeing them kind of walk over a ledge or something, not a ledge, but a ridge.
Landscapes of various types.
Yeah, like flying and you know, Rogue One had a lot of those beautiful, just kind of, you know, that beach farm that's really in Iceland or whatever it is, and all these kind of landscapes where it's exactly what you're talking about, kind of setting the table,
awesome.
Giving me a good view of stuff. Yeah.
If you give me, I think what is he? Swedish? There's a Swedish artist.
Chef? No.
Simon, I think it's Simon Stahlenhagen or something, that he does a lot of these like landscape paintings that are like normal landscapes, but he'll put like a mech in the background or something.
Oh yeah.
His stuff was the inspiration for the role-playing game and then the TV show Tales from the Loop, which is that kind of like an 80s type thing, but with there's like a mechs in the background. So there'll be kids like riding bikes, and then there's like half destroyed high-tech machinery, like just like rusting in the background. So I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff, and for like spaceships flying over, like cool spaceships flying over like normal landscapes. Like the new Dune movie had a couple of great shots like that, where I was like, oh, cool. Even though the design of the spaceships were not cool flying buildings,
well,
it's still cool.
The original, the David Lynch's Dune had some cool flying building things.
Yes.
So there you go.
Well, yeah, I will argue one thing for the David Lynch Dune is that there's a little more style to those.
Well, that let me suggest if you haven't already seen it, there's it's not as good as I want it to be, but it's not bad. There's Star Wars Biomes, I think, on Disney Plus, which is basically all that. Like, it's not all that
cool.
the Nickelodeon show. It's all that. Like
it's not all
just,
that.
No, it's just basically like a flyover of different planets or environments that we've seen from Star Wars, and there's no dialogue. There's no, maybe a little bit of music, kind of soft music in the background, but it's just like, 5 minutes on, Hoth and then, Jakku and stuff like that. And so
just vibes.
Just exactly. We're just vibing.
That sounds
Star Wars
awesome.
Vibing.
Yeah. Go talk to Elon Sleazebagano, buy some death sticks, then hang out and watch some Biomes.
Totally. Just put it on loop. On that note, we don't sell death sticks, but we do sell a bunch of stuff at our merch store. StarWarsMinute.com/merch. You can get skateboards, pillows, all kinds of ridiculous stuff. You put a bunch of pillows around if you're going to do the skateboarding until you figure it out. All kinds of good stuff. StarWarsMinute.com/merch. Lots of good Alex Robinson designs. And go buy some stuff. Meet us back here tomorrow for a brand new episode of Star Wars Minute.
Star Wars Minute?